Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Let's get started and dive into this week's conversation. Have you ever looked at your life and realized that the things that you once wanted aren't necessarily the things that you want anymore? Or maybe you started changing, growing, evolving, and now you're wondering who you're becoming? Not because anything's wrong, but because the version of you that got you here doesn't fully fit where you're going. When I was laid off, I described that season as a transition. At the time, it felt like I was just moving from one chapter of my life to another. I was trying to figure out what was next. I was navigating uncertainty. I was trying to regain my footing. But looking back now, this season feels different. This doesn't feel like transition anymore. This feels transformational because I'm not just changing my circumstances, I'm changing. My perspectives are changing. My priorities are changing. The way that I move through the world is changing. And I think a key distinction between transition and transformation is that a transition changes your circumstances, whereas a transformation changes you. I think we talk a lot about growth, but we don't talk enough about the weight that can come with it. And don't get me wrong, transformation can feel exciting, but it can also feel heavy. There have been moments where I have felt mentally exhausted, emotionally stretched, and questioning everything. Just feeling like I was caught somewhere between who I used to be and who I'm becoming. And that's not always a comfortable place to be. So I think growth can be beautiful and heavy at the same time. For a while, I struggled to understand what was happening. And then I realized something. I knew who I was. But now I'm being introduced to parts of myself that I never had the opportunity to meet before. The entrepreneur, the creator, the storyteller, the business owner, the person willing to take risks. These are not new people. They're just parts of me that didn't have room before. One thing I've learned through all of this is how humbling it is to be experienced in one area of your life and completely new in another. For almost 2 decades, I worked in human resources. I knew that world. Now, I'm learning YouTube, content creation, editing, algorithms, marketing, entrepreneurship. And there are days where I feel like a beginner all over again. I like to say that I'm mastering the art of being a student. Hey there. Thank you so much for being here. If you are enjoying this conversation and it resonates with you and you would like to explore more topics like this with me each week, I invite you to join the collective by clicking on the subscribe button below. Also, please be sure to turn on your notification button so you receive notifications each week when I upload a new conversation. Thank you again for being here, and I look forward to having you. I'm in my mid 40s, and I think society quietly tells us that by a certain age, we're supposed to have everything figured out, that we're supposed to arrive. But what if growth doesn't have an expiration date? What if we're meant to keep evolving? What if becoming never really ends? Maybe we're not meant to arrive. Maybe we're meant to keep becoming. Something that has become one of the biggest realizations of my life is that sometimes adversity is the blessing. And not because adversity is enjoyable, not because it's easy, but because adversity has a way of introducing us to parts of ourselves that we may have never discovered otherwise. Take me, for example. If I hadn't have been laid off, would I have started these businesses? Would I have started this channel? Would I have discovered the creative side of myself? I honestly don't know. Now let's talk about the positive side of transformation, because transformation isn't all doom and gloom, and it isn't only discomfort. It's also possibilities. It's new experiences, new skills, new relationships, new opportunities, new perspectives. Some of the opportunities I'm most grateful for today started with discomfort. So I think sometimes being uncomfortable is the price of growth. One thing I realized during this season is that transformation can be loud, but understanding yourself comes in quiet moments. I've learned that if I'm constantly moving, constantly doing, or constantly distracting myself, that I miss the opportunity to actually listen to myself. And that's why I become intentional about creating small moments to help me slow down and reconnect with myself. Journaling has become a huge part of that reflection, checking in with myself honestly, and creating a space to process what I'm experiencing instead of rushing through it. One thing that's helped me navigate this season more intentionally has been creating small moments to help me slow down, reflect, and reconnect with myself. Journaling has been a huge part of that, along with a few simple tools that I use regularly. If you're someone who's also navigating a season of growth or transformation, I'll link some of the tools I use below. There have been moments where I've wondered if I was stuck, moments where progress felt slow, moments where I couldn't see what was happening. But I started looking at those moments differently. And I started to see that sometimes what felt like being stuck was actually being planted. And the truth is, growth doesn't always happen where we see it. Sometimes roots are growing long before they break through the surface. Ladies, one final thought I'd like to leave you with, just something to consider. And that is that maybe this season isn't about you becoming someone completely different. Maybe it's about you expanding into parts of yourself that you haven't had the opportunity to explore before. And also, maybe what feels uncomfortable isn't a sign that something's wrong. Maybe it's a sign that something is growing because adversity is the blessing. And sometimes what feels like being planted is actually the beginning of a bloom that you can't see yet. And before I go, I want to leave you with my gentle reminder that no matter what you're going through, please remember that up to this point, your success rate is 100%. You are still standing. You are still here. So please keep going. Please keep moving. Everything will be okay. And I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.